Hey everybody, welcome back. We've got a couple topics we're going to cover in this video. They're opposite, well, they're not opposite ends of the spectrum. They're reselling related, but they're not the same. So, yeah, stay tuned. We got some cool sales too, so check those out. Different. Alright, so the topics for today. We're going to talk about USPS and their changes coming up in July. And, you know, I'm not going to make this video about that. It's been done. You know, people have had those videos planned for a couple months. So, yeah, it's not going to happen. But I do want to talk about it because my take's a little different on it than everybody else's. And I could be totally wrong, you know, when it actually does get rolled out, you know, and we start using it on a regular. I could be wrong, but so that'll be for later. The topic I do want to discuss, and I really, really want to discuss is, you know, how our space has changed and how reselling is viewed by the public and by us. You know, as resellers, YouTube resellers, people that have a presence on YouTube, and what the differences are. It'll all make perfect sense as we get moving right along here. But let's get into I'm not even going to make you wait for the coolest sale on the planet today, is this. And for those of you 70s and 80s babies, this is going to tug at those heartstrings a little just because of who it is. So check this thing out. Sarah found this at a thrift store. And this will lead into our topics. But yeah, Farrah faucet on a towel. And to top that off, it's a Hogan's Run towel from 1979. There's the year on it right there. MGM's logo's on it. Super cool. It's real vintage too. It's not, you know, a repo or anything like that. It is really a vintage towel, and it really sold. And $70 for a towel on MIckie. We had it on eBay. We got some really low ball offers on eBay. You know, people that lazy resellers is what I call them, which is what I think they are. You know, people that maybe buy off of eBay and then turn around and sell it in a brick and mortar or something to that effect. I'm not 100% certain of exactly what. Should I put that in a box? Probably. I should probably put it in a box. Let's put it in a box, because we don't want this to get damaged. But what box is the question? Not in that one. That's way too big. That would be not a good thing to put it in, would it? Oh, it's going FedEx. So we need a box. I'm going to find a box. I'll be right back.
2 hours later.
I found a box. It was the one I made fun of using. I put it in a bigger box, but the integrity of the box is going to be compromised at that point, because, you know, you put it in there and there's way more box than you need. So if somebody squeezes or presses down on it, it's just going to collapse. So it's in a box. It's in a tiny box. I think it's a 7x7x7. It works. You know, it's pretty strong. It's folded up in there. It's gonna work, right? This is what I get, right? Because I shouldn't be talking about this, because Lord knows there's a lot of people that are going to probably criticize my packing technique. Oh, MIckie. I think MIckie and eBay, or in Chrome, well, Chrome for Mac doesn't get along very well. So, because this is just all jacked up. It's not. There we go. Worked that time. What is this garbage? They made it small. I'll cover the. Forget it. You're not seeing the label. That's just all there's to it. It didn't work, and I don't know why it does this. For MIckie, you still have to, like, we still have to save it. And maybe it's us. Maybe it's just, you know, Mac or something that's doing this, but it doesn't print properly from the desktop or from the browser. It prints wrong. Like, if I save it as a PDF and then print it, it's fine. It's your normal run-of-the-mill label. Whatever. Working now. Put some do not cut stickers on there for the customer. That way they don't slice their towel. We'll be on our way. Alright, so topics. This was the awesome sale that I wasn't going to make you wait for. Alright, so let's jump on in to the first topic. The first topic is reselling and how it's viewed. How it's viewed by the public and how it's viewed by us in our space. Now, they're two totally different things, and the first part of that is really simple. How's it viewed by the public? Well, when we first got into this, it was viewed very negatively by the public, and it still kind of is to a small extent, but I think people are starting to recognize that, you know, selling things online or working in an online space is actually a living, and actually you can make a living at it. And many people have done it, especially in the YouTube community. You have some mega YouTubers who just make money hand over fist, and then there's people in our space that do make a lot of money off of YouTube. And it's, you know, fine, great. It's a viable thing. And it by all means is something that, trust me, if we could do it, we would. We just have to prioritize our time. And I'm holding a Cabbage Patch that we sold, just so you know. Yeah, we sold this on MIckie. So, Cabbage Patch sale on MIckie, Cabby going in the box, and we're going to ship it while we're discussing it. So, yeah, it's a very viable way to make money. And if that is your... Uh-oh. If that is your way of making money, then by all means. You know, or if you do both, sure. There's plenty of people in our space that make money off of YouTube and off of reselling, and that is absolutely fine. There's no problems with that. I don't have a problem with that. Never did have a problem with that. It's awesome that you can do it. You know, and there's a lot of hate going on out there about people that sell on eBay and get viewer sales. We get viewer sales. Not frequently, but we do. And it's not a bad thing. Reselling doesn't have to be black and white. It never needed to be. And if you think it needed to be, you're not paying attention. That's just my opinion, but it's still reselling. Even if you're selling to your viewers, you're still reselling. You're still taking a product, you're buying it for cheap, and you're reselling it. You just happen to market yourself a lot better than everybody else does. And you have an audience that does it. So that's fine. Sarah does that exact thing without being on camera. She does it on her Instagram. And most people that buy off of her from Instagram, I would bet, don't have a clue what she looks like. Because she's not in her videos. And if she is talking in any of her videos, well, she doesn't really make videos on Instagram, which I've tried to get her to do because people love her. But if she did, or if she does talk, chances are good she's not on camera. And that's just the way she chooses to market herself. And it works. She's putting her products first and herself second. And that's fine. There's no problems with that whatsoever. And if you have a problem with that, you know, again, I keep saying, you're not paying attention. Reselling doesn't have to be, I buy something and I sell it to the general public. It could be, I buy something and I sell it to a viewer, or I buy something and I sell it to a neighbor, or I buy something and I sell it to a company. It doesn't matter. The point is that there is no shame in exploring all avenues of reselling. There's no shame in saying, I have a tremendous social media influence, so I'm going to focus in on this audience. We do it. you know, we do it. Sarah does it. You know, and she focuses all her Cabbage Patches in on certain audiences. You know, just being a postcard reseller or an ephemera reseller, we have a bunch of people who just follow our store. And I know this because when I list postcards, 9 times out of 10, the stack that I just listed out of gets a sale immediately. And that's hard to do unless, 1, it's a keyword search, or 2, you're following our store. And I know people are following our store because I see repeat buyers. So it's not a negative connotation saying that somebody that has a social media influence or that has a YouTube influence and is selling to that audience is not a reseller, because they absolutely are. Now, having said all of that, there can be certain things that would, you know, cause people to maybe, you know, have pause. And that is well warranted, especially if it is unrealistic. And that's where we get into like the two things molding, where the community and the general public kind of mold. There might be some clippage here that gets a little awkward looking. And it's because this is tough for me, because I like to go off on tangents, and sometimes I go off on a tangent and then forget what I was talking about. And so I had to actually go back, and I'm actually editing this video while I'm talking to you, because I don't want to do you guys a disservice and tell you something and then just completely get off topic, which I did. And so I had to cut it out. So that's what this is. So we're talking about where the general public and eBay resellers on YouTube mold, and how our spaces, and this is what I was talking about, how our space has changed. When we first got into this, our space looked very much like this. You'd see, make $100,000 a year, quit your job, blah, 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 blah. Or, you know, I made $10,000 a month selling on YouTube, or on Instagram, on eBay. I'm going through all this stuff in my head. On eBay. And you'd see thumbnail after thumbnail after thumbnail. Oh my God, I found this vintage shirts at a Goodwill. And maybe they were. Maybe. I mean, it's a big maybe, but you would see constantly people walking into Goodwills and tripping over $100 golf clubs and tripping over $1,000 phone call comes in right as I'm in the middle of the rant, and now my battery's dying. I'll be right back.
Oh, snap.
Anyways, tripping over $1,000 televisions and all this stuff, and that's what it looked like. And now it's shifted. You know, it shifted into a more realistic expectation. And that's what we always have said from the beginning. And this is going to be oddly self-promoting, but that was part of our original goal from YouTube, is that we're not going to, I have no other word for this other than a swear word, so I'm going to do it. We're not going to bullshit you. We're going to always tell you, you know, the straight stuff. And that's always been the way it was. And I'm not accusing anybody by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm saying is that full-time reselling is work, and it takes a lot of work. This isn't make a small investment and make $100,000. This isn't make a small investment and fall over, you know, 1979 Grateful Dead original tie-dyes. This is not, that's not the way this works. The way it works is you have to do what works for you. And if what works for you translates into a full-time job, then more power to you. If what works for you doesn't, or you can't make it, or maybe you don't have the money to invest, then, you know, part-time's your way to go. There isn't a mold that everybody can insert themselves in and make money. The mold looks different for everybody. And what works for you and your area. Area has a lot to do with it. Florida, you know, or people that live and work in Florida, their reselling experience is dramatically different from the reselling experience we experience, or we have. Too many experiences. You know, weather has a lot to do with it. They have garage sales almost year round in Florida. We don't have them hardly, you know, we have them 6 months out of the year, if that. And that, provided we're not getting a lot of rain. So it looks very different with your own budget, your own, you know, temperament, and that has a lot to do with it too. You know, finding stuff to resell that, you know, not only is profitable, but that you can stomach and get up every day and do, has a lot to do with it. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I won't mention names because I don't want to bring any undue problems towards them, because maybe this is slightly polarizing, but you know, there's a lot of people out there that believe that there's this secret solution, that there's this secret way of doing things, that if I add keywords to this and I promote at this much money and I do this and I do that and I do this, all of it's going to come together and I'm going to be wealthy. And it's not the case. You know, and the person I was talking to had a great analogy, is stop washing the car and just drive it. Which is a really, really, and when he said that, or maybe it's not a he, but when this person said that to me, I was like, yeah, that's so true. There are so many people out there that just have this, you know, this vision that is just like, oh, if I do all of this stuff and I change this and I price it this way and I promote this way, it's going to change everything and I'm going to make millions and millions of dollars. That's not the case. Just do what you do, sell what you sell, and, you know, go out there and keep pounding the pavement, keep listing things, keep doing it. And eventually you will get there. It's not hard. You know, we're not genius marketers. We just found niches. We found things that sell. We found things that do well in certain spaces. Sarah's, you know, dolls do great in her space. Postcards do great on eBay. Ephemera does great on eBay. That's why we sell it. If there comes a day where it stops selling, guess what? We're moving on to the next thing. That's all part of this experience. And, you know, we'll bring it back home with some more ideas. I know I got off on a bit of a rant there, but, you know, if you watch the live show, it happens. So let's see what else sold. And we'll keep talking about this. I'll show you something we sold that's really not like us, but it sold for pretty good money. We sold this, and I'm not going to ship it because Sarah's way better at $20 for this. But yeah, we found this at a thrift store. I think we paid $1 for it, and yeah, sold. It took a while to sold. That was a long process to get anywhere near selling it. Which is why we don't sell stuff like that. It's too much of a long ball, and then on top of that, if it gets broken on the way there, it's just going to be a pain. But yeah, we do sell that kind of stuff. Anyways, so let's get back to the topic. So we were talking about, you know, how the general public views reselling and how it's changed over the course of the year, and a lot of it has to do with the social media presence. There is a reason I brought the two together. At first, we sold this. It's a Kmart muslin flat double sheet. I got this at an auction, and it was, I paid $1 for it. So these are pretty easy sellers normally, and they go right in there. Pretty simple. I love simple sales. So when we first got into reselling and we started, you know, people asked, oh, what do you guys do for a living, and this, that, and the other thing, and we all, you know, and we would say to them, you know, oh, we buy, sell, and sell things on eBay. And the look they kind of gave us is kind of that, oh. And, you know, you could tell by the condescending smile that they really thought we were unemployed. You know, it was like whenever, you know, when Uber first came out and you told people you were an Uber driver, people were like, oh, that's nice. In reality, it's a really good living. In reality, you know, people make good money doing it. But if you know, there's that connotation that, you know, you graduate high school, you go to college, or you don't go to college and you get a job, or you go to college and then you get a job and you stay working at that job until you're dead or until you retire, whichever comes first. And I think that mold is getting broken, because I think people have realized that there is other ways to make money. And the view from the outside is getting more positive. You know, the older generations are starting to either, one, come around to it, or two, die off. And the people that are in the younger, you know, younger generation, my generation and the 70s kids, 60s, late 60s, early 70s kids, are starting to recognize that, you know, selling things in an online space, or even working in an online space, is a very viable way of making a living. So it is becoming a little better. So I hope that as time goes on, things start to progress, you know, and continue to progress in the upward manner, and it's not looked on as negatively as it was in the past. Is that good? Did we cover everything you guys wanted to comment down below? Let me know your opinions. I know there will be some, that's for sure. But I know I'm probably opening myself up to a world of it. But I really do believe that the vast majority of people that are in this space, and what I mean by in this space, I mean, well, all of you, but the people in the YouTube community, the vast majority of them are, all the ones we have met have been exceptional people and exceptional resellers and know their stuff. And I haven't met too many that I would say, what, are you kidding me? You think you want us to buy? You know, don't get me wrong. There have been in the past people that are like that, and most of them have disappeared. So that shows you enough, right? You got a lot of people ask us, you know, what did we do with all our old, or not old, but postcards and stuff that, you know, because we buy lots of them, and not every one of them are going to be great. You know, most of them are going to be, some of them are going to be good, and some of them are going to be crap. So what do we do? Here you go. 75 piece ephemera lot, postcards and photos. That's all that's in here. $14. How about that? That's what we do. When I'm listing when Sarah's listing photos or sorting photos, or I'm listing postcards, anything that, you know, I kind of deem as not really worth it, goes in this box underneath my little desk, and Sarah cleans them out every now and again, and that's the end of that. So, pretty simple. You know, you're gonna, if you get into selling ephemera, in order to buy it at cheap enough prices, you're going to have to almost buy just piles, and you're not going to see a lot of that. So you kind of got to have the junk, and you're going to have to, you know, figure out a way of getting rid of the junk. A few people I know go to flea markets. A few people I know just do what we do and lot it all up and kind of just sell it as a, you know, ephemera lot. And people will buy it because, you know, they maybe see 3 or 4 things in there that they want, and they'll just buy it for the rest of it and maybe scrapbook with it or make something else out of it and you reuse it in some way, or maybe throw it all in the trash. I don't know. But it's a good way of us to just kind of purge all of that stuff without just throwing it in the dumpster. So, you know, I think I've talked about this on many occasions, which is fine. I like to repeat myself. All right. So I was reviewing this USPS rate hikes. Well, rate hikes and changes. And I think the changes have kind of shrouded the rate hikes, because the rate hikes are significant. You know, 5% and up across the board for pretty much everything. So that's significant. But there's a silver lining to this announcement from the USPS, is that the ground advantage. It's basically doing away with parcel select, which in my mind was useless, because the cost difference from parcel select to priority was, you know, $1-ish, and it really wasn't worth the, you know, I mean, it really wasn't worth sending it parcel select at all, ever. And maybe that's just eBay's rates or whatever it is, but it never was really worth it. So maybe this ground advantage will actually give us a little bit of an edge. Well, not an edge, but it will help. Because one of our most common messages we get, especially when it pertains to Cabbage Patches, is, you know, oh, well, you know, I would love to buy this doll, but it's just too expensive. I live on the West Coast, and so forth and so forth. And, you know, sympathize for sure, but, you know, shipping rates are what they are. So that's normally our bottled response, is what we say. Like, you know, sorry, we can't control shipping, or if we even respond at all. But this may, depending on what the rates are going to be, may actually help us out. I haven't really delved all that deep into it. I didn't want to make this video the, you know, standard USPS is changing things, and there's a thumbnail of me talking about you. And that's not the purpose of it. I was just, you know, sitting here thinking about it and decided, let's talk about it. So, listing postcards too. So, there's postcards with my finger in it. Can anybody guess the movie I'm watching? Should be pretty easy, but it's one of my favorite movies. I like to put things on in the background that I've seen a lot of times, so that way it's just kind of background noise, but it's not distracting me. Meaning I'm not really paying attention to the movie. So, does anybody else do that? Comment down below the movie and whether or not this is common for you too. I'd like to know, because I'm curious, or maybe I'm just a weirdo that can concentrate better while there's a movie on. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, so this could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, could be nothing, a big nothing burger, who knows. But
Good day, sir!